Hey, welcome back to Season 5 of This is Gravel here on Gravel Guru. On today's episode, Neil and I head south to Oklahoma, talking to Bobby Wintle of the Mid-South name change, taking part in the Shawnee Gravel Growler, and Bobby fills us in on the Texas Chainring Massacre. Stay tuned for that and more on this episode. Hey, welcome back to the new studio, guys. What do you think?
I think it's awesome. I get to sit closer to Neil.
Yeah, I know. We can put our arm around each other and it's not too weird.
Yeah, we really kind of separated everybody here, and I'm not behind the camera today.
What?
That's what's weird.
That is weird.
We should be glad if the camera keeps working this whole time, probably with me here. You know, guys, it's been 60 days to the day since we sat down and recorded our last episode. What have you been up to, Bobby?
I've been up to, there's been a lot of Legos in the family. There's been a lot of watching my daughter play with Barbies and a little bit of Zwifting. But you know what, to be honest with you, we've had a very mild winter so far and been able to get outside probably 2-3 days a week in nice weather, let alone riding in cold weather. So, what about you, Neil?
Yeah, so early on, me and Matt put like 180 miles in, like the first 5 days or whatever it was of January. And then it got a little cold, and I got a little old. And my body just couldn't handle it. But then we went down to Oklahoma here this past weekend. I know we're going to look at a little bit of that here later. But it's been nice to be back on the bike. I took a few months kind of taking a little siesta there in November and December and let the body recover.
Yeah, definitely. We started off the year absolutely fantastic there. Like 180 miles, 8 days. Shout out to the Gravel City crew. Sean and Scott took us on an awesome night ride. I think all three of us were on that night. Yep. Out to Cottonwood Falls. Gorgeous night. One of those days we had like a 50-degree day.
That was perfect. The whole night was perfect.
Just loved it. I think you turned off before we were in grass that was like this tall over our shoulders on the bike.
Before I got a chunk of barbed wire in my tire.
Yeah, super gluing his tire back together at Casey's while eating some pizza. Overall, it was a fantastic night just to get out and hang out with some good friends. But this weekend, like Neil said, we headed down to Oklahoma. Neil, you had a chance to sit down before we get in the interview with Bobby Wintle. What did you think about stopping in at District?
Oh, I love every time we get to stop in at District. I mean, it's such a good time to get to go down there. And talking to Bobby, gosh, man, you can't help but walk away from something like that. Just feel pumped about what 2020 holds.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge thank you to Bobby Wintle for sitting down with us. So let's take a look at that interview now.
What's up, guys? We're here at District Bicycles today, talking with Bobby Wintle. Bobby, how you been, man?
Dude, I'm so good.
Awesome.
It's great to see you.
Good to be here with you. All right, Bobby, big question.
Yes.
Land Run had become a household name within the gravel community. Walk us through the change to bring about the name, the Mid-South.
So, about 2 years ago really was the first time. And everything that I wrote that is on the Radivist and everything that's on midsouthgravel.com, we've published it on the front page of the website there. All of that has all of the truth inside of the story. There's no other reason why except for the small but very intentional, very relational conversations that we had with a small group of people, with a very few. And basically a few people not raising a stink on social media, not emailing us, no other conversations than just a few that were like, hey, this is an issue. This name holds negative connotation for indigenous. And it's only 130 years ago, that we're talking about. Like we're not talking about like 500 years ago, which still I would want to be 100% aware if something that old had still held negativity for a group of people. So once we knew about 2 years ago that only 130 years, maybe 2 generations removed, people from specific tribes, from this part of Oklahoma that obviously their tribe's not maybe originally from here because the big 5 tribes were all pushed out by the Indian Removal Act in the 1830s, and so that's the Trail of Tears, right? But they were here. This land was given to them in perpetuity, and that's in the writing that I put, that as long as the grass is green, as long as the grass grows, as long as the water flows. And last time I checked, it's all still happening. So it was promised, and then it was swindled. It was taken away through treaties, through all sorts of different things. And so these people still are feeling the repercussions from that. And I felt like, can we give this conversation justice by not changing the name? Can we keep the name? Can we bring light to it? I'm not in any way trying to glorify something that was a part of genocide or a part of stealing something from someone at all. I just did it because I knew that this land, this area was created because of the land run of 1889, Guthrie, Oklahoma City, and but I didn't know any of the internal side of it until honestly, seriously, about 2 years ago. So that would have put us at 5 years of doing the event. Because right now we're at 7 years. It's the 8th event, but it's 7 years since we started. And the end of 2012 is when I really started to get all the things moving for Land Run originally. So it was a constant internal battle of how do I respond? How do I give true, real answers for what I'm going to do to address the issue? And also like how are we ever going to justify keeping the name that we know holds these negative connotations? And so finally, man, it came down to driving to go get Ryan Simon from the finish of the Tour Divide. Seth Wood and I were in my car, 14-hour drive. It's the second time I've done the drive. The last time I did the drive was with Ryan Simon, to go get Seth from the finish when he got 8th place in 2018. So 2019, Seth and I, boom, in the car, we're going, and Seth's just like, dude, you've been ignoring this conversation. Like, I know that we've talked. He's like, I've given you resources. Ariel and I have given you resources. We've told you that it's an absolute issue. We have to address it. And dude, you're ignoring it, and you have to stop. And right there in the car, I said, dude, I think there's nothing else that we can do. So mind you, this is middle of June. End of June of this past summer. And I said, dude, I don't see how we can facilitate this conversation and do it justice, do it the right way without changing the name. And he was like, don't do that. I don't think that's the answer. He's like, I think there's a way to do this, but we're not equipped to have the conversation because we're not educated enough, and we may not be able to get there. So we need to reach out to a few people, figure out how to facilitate it. But I couldn't shake the feeling that no, I had to change the name, because he was like, man, there might be a little bit of division. And just to give Seth all the credit in the world, very much obviously came around to the idea of actually changing the name after we had a few more conversations. So Yadika Fields is an indigenous ultra runner. He's a mural artist. He's from Stillwater, Oklahoma, but from Stillwater, but now he's in Tulsa. And he put up a thing on social media and said, it was just a really short, simple, non-accusatory piece of literature that just told the truth of the actual land run and what it had actually done and how it had actually systematically stolen land from those that were Native American. And so, and he posted that on an Instagram story and he tagged it at Land Run 100. And of course I didn't see it right away. Ariel Ross saw it, Seth's wife, and she just said, hey Bobby, like, you're still not doing anything. And this was September. And I'd really made the choice, but I hadn't actually put the work in place yet to really educate myself or read much of anything to really feel that I actually absolutely had to make something happen. So Yadika had been a customer of the shop in the past, and he used to be a messenger too, a cycling pro messenger in New York City. So, but now he's in Tulsa. He's a great dude. So I just came to the shop and I was nervous wreck. And I looked up his name and I had his number and I called him and he answered the phone right away. And I was like, hey Yadika, it's Bobby from the district. I want to talk to you. I don't have any idea how to facilitate this conversation. I want to know if we can keep the name and still do this justice in the right way and bring light to the situation and turn this into a positive spin. Because, like I told you, the idea was never ever to coincide.
And I'm sure switching the name was hard for you. I mean, this has been for this is 8 years now. This has been your baby here. I mean, you talk to anybody that knows you. I mean, this is your baby.
I feel like
this is your third child here.
I feel like we renamed a child.
And so, in March, we've got the Mid-South.
Yeah.
What's the Mid-South?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll answer that right after this last port.
Go ahead.
Bit. So I asked Yadika if we could do that. And with zero hesitation, Yadika said absolutely not. So I would love to be a part of your event, but as who I am, I can never be associated with something like that. And that's when I started to realize that there were all these voices that weren't coming to the table. And I said, I got off the phone and I went straight to Crystal and I said, all right, that's it, we have to change the name. Wow. And she said, good. She's like, I'm been waiting for you, which she's always just waiting on me, always. Awesome. And so that was it. So the Mid-South. So, all right. In 2014, I created an Instagram account for Land Run for the very first time. And the very first post was my 2013 Salsa Warbird tie that I love to death. Ryan Simon has that bike now as a single speed. And I put it down on the ground. I was just out on a ride with a bunch of people. It was like a Sunday ride, if I remember correctly, north of town. And I laid it on the ground, and I was like, man, I miss being able to say that I'm from the Midwest. Like, I miss this. I'm a Midwest boy. I'm from Kansas.
Yep.
And Kansas is maybe even a little bit further west than some people want to assume the Midwest exists. There's all these, like, unofficial definitions of space, right?
Yes.
And so I was just like, man, we're not in the South either. Everyone says that Oklahoma's in the South. No, we're not. We're not in the South. We're not Alabama. We're not Mississippi. We're not Georgia. So we're not South Carolina. Like, we're something different. And honestly, what I've come to in my mind actually is yeah, I mean, just like the state slogan says, like native land, right?
Yeah.
And this is, it's a crazy conversation. So in my mind on that ride, I was just like, dude, we're like in the middle. If you take the United States of America, take it, all right? So look at it. So here's Maine, here's California, here's Texas, here's Kansas, here's Emporia, okay? And here's Oklahoma right below it, and Stillwater is in the middle of the southern region of the United States of America. And so I just did hashtag Mid-South Gravel. So I've been using it since 2014.
We've seen it around for a while on Instagram
Thank you.
and other places, and so
I wanted to pull
Mid-South IPA.
Mid-South
around for a
IPA
while.
for the last
Yep.
2 years. This is the third year of the Mid-South IPA. We did a Land Run 100 Pale Ale originally, but now this will be the third time we've done the Mid-South IPA. So I wanted to pull from within some sort of conversation that we were already having at the event. I also wanted to drop the number marker at the end. So I wanted to open up the conversation for this to become or be whatever it is that we want it to be. Am I saying that I'm going to do a longer event? Probably not. Probably not. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. What do people want to see? I would love to have that conversation. I want this to be a music festival as well. I have 8 bands confirmed right now for Friday for the main stage. Wow. And so all day Friday there'll be live bands for free for anyone that comes to the finish line party for the 50K and the double runners, which is on Friday, March 13th. And then we'll have the expo on Main Street, and Main Street's going to be full of vendors from the cycling, running, outdoor. Yeah, dude. So Mid-South, man, so yeah, I've gotten some flack about Memphis and about some other spaces that there's like an unofficial Wikipedia page, and I had no idea. I didn't obviously do that research either because I felt like it was just something that I could coin for our space because Oklahoma doesn't have one, doesn't have that moniker. So sure, it's being used in other places. I think it's okay that we use it here. We're not taking anything from anyone. Welcome to the Mid-South.
Awesome. All right, so you talked a little bit about some of the changes there. The run, all of it's going to be taking place on Friday
All
this
running
year.
Friday. 350 people right now.
Wow, 350.
350.
Awesome.
200 in the double. We let in 200 into the double, which is absolutely outrageous. And then we've let in 150 spots of the 50K should be sold out like today or tomorrow, hopefully.
So what other changes are we going to see coming into 2020 here?
More involvement from sponsorship. So better services on course. I haven't announced this yet, but we're not doing a drop bag service for the first time. So we will still be allowing riders, support crews to come into Perkins. Downtown Perkins is being so incredibly inviting. We've got Main Street now. They're shutting down a state highway for us in downtown Perkins to facilitate. It's totally sick. Yes, Matt is shaking his head. Matt Fowler is in the room, folks. Anthony Croft too, man. Gravel season. Gravelandgrub.com. Anthony, shout out. Anyway, we're working with Scratch Labs to have a water, hydration, and light nutrition space very similar to SBT Gravel that they had set up at they had fully supported aid stations. And so we're going there. There's a gas station that will be inside the shut-off area in Perkins that's also available. And then, I mean, it's not a secret anymore. We've got oases, so we've got some fun stuff.
Might be some things out on the course here and there.
Maybe not. I'm not confirming nor denying said accusations.
All right, so one thing that I know that's really important to you is community. But what I want to talk about, the last question here is, what does this race, what does the Mid-South mean to this community here in Stillwater?
We have a Division I university in town, right? So I'm going to lead with that. We have that, right? We have basketball games. We have 7, 8, 6, whatever football games a year that bring 80,000 people in town. So we have things going on that smaller towns like you guys don't have to compete with, don't have. So you guys are the biggest dog in town. Like Dirty Kansas is obviously it's the unofficial official world championship of gravel. Period. Like there's no question in my mind. I would like to say that the Mid-South is one of the rowdiest times that a person could have at an event for the entire week that they could be in town. Dude, I think that it means to this community, it's something that for them to feel ownership of. I said this somewhere along the lines that, excuse me, that the people that work hard to ride these roads, to be a part of them, to let them, to make the roads a part of themselves and to make themselves a part of the roads in this town, that volunteer, that show up to group rides, that come to the social on Friday night, which we're having a birthday party for Ted King tonight at the bike shop. It's actually his birthday. I can't remember how old he is. I'm not even going to say the number. I don't know. But anyway, we do community involvement constantly out of this space, and this space is 100% the hub. I would like to say that this space is one of, if not one of the biggest cultural hubs in Stillwater. And
awesome.
And I'm so proud of that. And the people, if people wouldn't have responded with positivity, then and wanting to be a part of it, then it wouldn't have grown, right? Like, it's not just because we built it, it's also because people responded. And so, dude, I think the Mid-South to this community and LR 100, they had so much ownership of, and I wanted that. Awesome. And so I want that to continue. I think it is going to continue. I will tell you that I've gotten way more excitement and conversation from local business owners and things, because they realize how many people are coming. Like, we just clicked over 3,100, and we still don't have all of our sponsors in. We still don't have all the comp entries in. So, you know, it's crazy, dude. It's all exploded, and the community is embracing us completely. And I want to not say the community embracing us, because we're one and the same. The community at large, whether it's the cycling community or just the community of Stillwater, we're in this together. And for really honestly, the last couple of years, man, it's just been baby steps. And this year, I feel like everyone's stoked.
Just over 40 days away, folks. Cannot wait.
Sick.
Mid-South,
Sick.
Bobby Wintle.
Yep.
Dude, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Neil, for sitting down with Bobby Wintle down there in District. I mean, that's kind of how we started our 2020. This announcement comes just a couple days before. We all kind of wake up with an email or see the social media. What's your initial takeaway about the name change?
It surprised me at first. I mean, just like we said in the interview, I mean, Land Run's Bobby's baby. And he mentioned there how changing a name was like changing one of his children's names. And so that definitely, no doubt, I'm sure was difficult for him, but he explained it very well. And it's the Mid-South now. And the thing is, it's still going to be a party. We're still going to have a blast down there. Over 3,000 people. Can you imagine? I mean, I remember going, my first year down there was 2016, and there was nowhere close to that. And now to have 7th Avenue there, 7th Street, just loaded with riders and probably going back blocks and blocks and blocks. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a good time down there. It's going to be hard. We're going to make mistakes on the show. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to call it the wrong thing at the wrong time. But we're going to try our hardest to make sure we're hitting Mid-South gravel every single time out there. Always had a fun time. This will be our 5th year with Gravel Guru, going back when we started the show 4 years ago. It was the first event. We launched an episode the week before, headed down there. Bobby was a host back then with Leland Danes at the time. I mean,
we did a little training video on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. Had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, and legitimately, people are thinking training video. Oh, we saw that one. No, you didn't see this one.
No, you didn't.
You
see
saw the
this
fun one the next year where Bobby's walking through the deep mud. But overall, a great time. Huge shout out to Anthony Croft down there. Gravel and Grub, I believe, is his name.
Yep.
Runs a little catering company, but took us out, got us 20 miles of gravel and kind of it was supposed to be a shakedown ride.
It was supposed to be a 12-mile ride, first of all, and then Matt's like, yeah, sure, we can go a little bit longer. Matt's done some riding in Stillwater. He didn't realize just how big some of those hills can get at times, and all of a sudden, I think he looked over at me and said, I don't know if we should have done this today since we're doing 85 tomorrow.
Well, and it had been a couple weeks since we'd been on the bike. I had not been on the bike, and we're getting ready to ride 85, so it felt good to get out into the lake stretch. But what's up with these random big holes out in the middle of their roads in the middle of nowhere? These chuck holes that come out. But
I don't know. I felt like I was going to get swallowed up in a few of them. They were so big. I mean, just some huge holes out there. Yeah.
So moving on from that, Bobby, actually last weekend you had a chance to go down. I think you and Jeff headed down to a Spinster event, the Texas Chainring Massacre. How was that? Give us a little overview.
Yeah, for the last 3 years, we've started our seasons off. Jeff and I started our seasons off with Texas Chainring Massacre, put on by Jan and Kevin Lee down there with Spinistry, Valley View, Texas. And, you know, it's always a good time because, yes, Mid-South is the first kind of homecoming for all of us to get together. But there's a lot of people that we've got to know down there in Texas, and a lot of people that travel down for Texas. So it's kind of like our first start, family reunion for the year. It's 65 miles. They do have a 100-mile also, but the main draw is the 65 miles. It's fast, it's flat, and it's a lot warmer than home usually. So it's a good time down there, and it's a 5-hour drive down there. You ride hard, and they have a cool little town square with, I think, 4 or 5 different places to eat. They have a whiskey distillery there in town. It's a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like a fun time. It looks like with a lot of riders, it can be a fast time down there. Some fast folks at the front. So, yeah.
It definitely makes you feel faster than you actually are because of how flat it is. It's also a great way to gauge where you're at in January of the new year, especially with a lot of us getting ready for Mid-South in a couple months. It gives you 2 months to realize, I need to ride a lot more.
Things to change.
Yeah.
So you went down to Texas. Neil and I, then after we hung out and talked at District Bikes for a while on Friday, we then went to Shawnee, Oklahoma. Neil, we show up downtown Shawnee, Oklahoma for the riders meeting. It was in progress. Sorry, Craig, for that. But enjoyed that atmosphere. What was it like for you?
Oh, it was great getting down there. Even though it was cold outside at that point, the sun had already gone down. It was cool just to see a lot of folks down there. And as we got in town, we got checked in, saw some friends, and then got back and got some grub. But that next morning, boy, it was brisk. I hadn't been out in the morning in a long time, and that cold definitely hit me pretty strong at the beginning.
Yeah. What was the starting temp down there? Do you remember? Ish?
It was right above freezing,
yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Right at freezing. So, I mean, that was... I'm doing that.
I'd never been to Shawnee, Oklahoma, so it's one of those you usually try to Google Maps, see what things look like, or at least I geek out in that way. But it was a really cool kind of downtown environment. It was. Town, not necessarily town square, but a true main street with kind of the cross streets and really nice setup. But to see more of that, we're going to actually roll into a vlog. Neil and I on the bike tried our best to shoot video, kind of from the time we woke up in the hotel to getting our first cup of coffee. All the way through the end of the event. I can tell you as the event went on, we recorded less and less in the afternoon. But overall, great time. Let's take a look and see how that is. Hey, good morning, Gravel Guru fans. It is Saturday, February 1st. We're down here in Shawnee, Oklahoma, here with the Minister of Gravel. Today, we are doing a little behind-the-scenes vlogging of the Shawnee Gravel Growler. I'm going to take off on my first real event outside of Emporia today, 85 miles with Neil. It's about 6:30 in the morning. We're just getting up. We just got a cup of coffee and getting our day started.
Good. Ready to get out there.
Let's do it. What's the weather like?
It's fantastic. Actually, I feel great. I mean, it's 30-something degrees right now, but it's a good 30.
Minutes away from the start. It's a little chilly right now, mid-30s going on, but it's promising to be about a 60-degree day by the time we're done. Absolutely looking forward to getting out here and riding some Oklahoma gravel.
All right, guys, so far we're about 15 miles into the race. It's going good. Hills, flats, pavement, some gravel. Producer Matt's back there. He'll hopefully be catching up here shortly and get a good video of him. But we're having a good time, about an hour in to the race. It's warming up, which is just fantastic. I'm looking forward to more riding here later. Get at it, man. Spin that cadence. Go! Woo!
Hey Neil, we're 25 miles in today down here at the Oklahoma Gravel Growler. What do you think so far?
Having a blast, man. It is so nice down here. We don't get this weather in February up in
No,
Kansas.
it's definitely February 1st, like long sleeves, and we're good. Actually, I'm a little warm now.
Yeah, I actually am. I'm pretty hot, but you know what? That's okay. Enjoying the day.
Can't beat it. Loving climbing the hills out here, which is something I don't say very often. But
Yeah.
but it's great. They're rolling. Great day. What do you think of the climbing today, Neil?
It's all right. It's good. Lake needs this in early February.
Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous day though here on the Oklahoma Gravel. Hills are fun. Eating a lot of hills out here today. 40 miles in. Hey, here we are at the Gravel Growler, halfway checkpoint. How you feeling, Neil?
I'm tired, but you know what? 39 miles left. We're good.
39 miles left. Having a gorgeous day for the first day of February. Absolutely great time out here at the checkpoint. Thanks to everybody that's been out helping support the race.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to jump on the bike and probably go climb some more hills.
Nah. $63 in. Matt's back there taking a quick potty break. I've taken quite a few potty breaks. It's hilly. We're both out of shape. Early season gravel, but I'll tell you what, for February, it is still a gorgeous, gorgeous day. I mean, sun is shining. There is not a cloud in that sky. So good.
There Neil goes. Pulling away up the hill. 64 miles in. Hey, thanks everybody. Hey, thank you. Oh, hey.
So Matt, how's your first out of Kansas gravel event been?
Hilly. It's been very hilly but fun.
Awesome.
Going into Shawnee, Neil, into the finish line. Hey.
Nice job, welcome back.
Hey. So Neil, we finished it.
We got through it, man.
We got through it. How was your day?
It was rough. I mean, again, just not having the miles leading up to this at all. It was kind of ambitious to get out there and do 85 miles, but I'm glad I got through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of those hills I might not have been real happy I was out here doing it for, but we had a great day. I want to give a big thanks to Craig and everybody down here in Oklahoma and the Oklahoma Gravel Growler. The support out there was fantastic. Those pretzels saved my life, I'm pretty sure, at one point. Thank you to everybody following along. I recommend coming down here next year for it.
Yep, absolutely.
I got to say, first of all, you look great on camera.
Well, thank you.
I mean, you're a natural there. And second of all, is that really the first time you've ridden on an event outside of Emporia in 4 years of doing the show?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So, huge shout out to Craig again down there at the event for that.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone bike packing in Stillwater before. We've gone on trips with riding bikes.
Yeah.
You know, nothing like that. But really, I think it's my first time going outside of Emporia. You know, putting a bib or a plate on the bike and quote-unquote racing. It was much more a race to finish the event and hang out with good friends on it. But even that night before, it was kind of begging Craig to get me in a spot just because it's one of those. It took
You got some fans calling me outside.
Yeah,
I
your fans
apologize.
are calling you.
Yeah, go ahead though.
So it was one of those deals that Craig got me in a spot in the race, someone that didn't show up type deal. So huge thanks to him because Neil, giving him props, said, Matt, you've done the show. If you're going to sit up here and host the show right now, you need to know what it's like.
That's nice.
And I was glad he got out there, I mean, for it, because, you know, I think we went back and forth a little bit leading up to it, and finally I was like, dude, just bring your bike down there. I said, at least we can ride in Stillwater, you know, just have fun out there. And then having fun in Stillwater became, you know, Matt, it'd be really cool if you just went down and rode your bike in Shawnee too. And it was great. I mean, we had a blast out there. The roads were perfect. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't think the roads in Oklahoma have ever been more perfect than they were last Saturday, except for maybe the hilly aspect of them.
The hills were there.
The hills were there, yeah.
Yes, they were present and accounted for.
But I mean, it was a great time. We ran in a lot of folks that watched the show, and Matt and I definitely kept some high spirits throughout most of it, even though we quit filming maybe a little bit more towards the end. We were having a good time, I would say, the whole way through.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I've stood around a lot of finish lines, a lot of start lines, ran on spots in the road, and hear people yell, "Hey, there's Gravel Guru!" But never have I experienced that on a bike all day while you're moving around. And it's one of the coolest feelings in the world out there type deal. Just understanding that there are people that love watching the show and, you know, seeing what we do. It's just very awesome. One of the things that leads us into is social media.
Social media.
Even though we haven't been on the show doing the recordings every week, one thing that we have been doing during kind of our quote-unquote off season was posting every week. Amazing to see all the places people are riding. even stateside, foreign, internationally. We had Paraguay, Spain, just lots of different places last week come in. So here's this week's social media. If you want to post, always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, posting with the hashtag #ThisIsGravel. First up, we've got a photo from Brad Ellis riding out in northern Colorado local roads, getting the calm in right before the storm hit with the snow out there this past week. Next up, we had Holly Gordon out at the Gravel Growler as well this weekend. Meg Huey out riding near Keachai, Kansas in the sunny 75-degree weather this weekend. Greg Grand George was riding in Sedona, California until the white stuff goes away in Iowa. Don't blame him for that. Broke a cable 40 miles into this ride and ended up finishing the last 32 miles with 2 gears.
Ooh.
Yeah. Shout out to
twice as many as
Lynn
you.
Bluebaugh out riding in Greenwood County on the Kansas gravel goodness. Keep riding, Lynn. Love seeing you out there. Aaron Hoffman was out with his 13-year-old son. Went down and got a 10-mile ride in. He's doing the high school DK race this year here in Emporia, Kansas. Big shout out to him. Keep him riding. Brian Purdy was bikepacking the Hurricane 300 in Central Florida this weekend. Nick Pinto sent us in this epic view of the gorge there in Twin Falls, Idaho. It's hard to beat some of these places that people send us in and the amazing places gravel sends us. Finally, we got Scott Johnson out riding the Gravel Growler as well, and he actually got a photo of Neil and I as we're riding there. It looks like we're in front of him. I would say we're probably passing back and forth most of the day there with Scott Johnson. And finally, Karen Collier sending this photo from Lincoln, Nebraska, where she's from, but out riding in Lawrence, Kansas, trying to sneak down in the warmer weather. Speaking of Carolyn, if you haven't had a chance to see, linked in the show notes below, Carolyn and them are doing a feature on riding the Mid-South double this year. Neil, you've got some experience with the double. Any words of wisdom to them? They're 2 episodes in.
Make sure that you take care of yourself between the 2 races. I did not do that last year and woke up at 2:30 in the morning with a serious stomach issue. That wasn't fun, and I didn't know if I'd get back on there. But keep pushing, keep moving forward. It's going to hurt. Running that long is not normal, and I would just say keep pushing forward. Have a good time.
Yeah, huge thanks to
Back
them.
out now.
Yeah. Yeah, huge thanks for them for sending us these content. We're actually going to host them on the Gravel Guru YouTube page for them. Share them out. Give them some love. Watch their video. Fantastic to see. We've been helping them. Send them some footage of last year's event to cut in. Fantastic job of editing and telling the story. As Neil and I learned this weekend, it's not always the easiest thing of trying to video and tell the story of your event. So we're going to stick with them throughout the season leading up to the Mid-South this year. So awesome to see. Look for those in the show notes. Guys, wrapping up our first episode of Season 5. Final thoughts?
It's unbelievable. 5 seasons in. This is only my 3rd, but still, it's crazy to think that this has been something I've been doing the last 3 years, and looking forward to this year.
I just appreciate we're still doing it 5 years in.
Yeah, I'm glad we've stuck to it. I know there's times, life gets in the way. We all do this. We all do this for fun. We do this for fun, and I think that's important to remind people. This is fun for us to get out to, fun for us to meet new people on the gravel, and fun is the reason why we're here.
Yep.
Huge thanks to Bobby and Neil, Minister of Gravel on Instagram, Casual Cyclist. Make sure you like, subscribe our video, and stay tuned for the next episode.